I was on the Facebook page today, and I was like trying to see some information. So you went to...
Oh, about my profile?
You went to Cuba, right? You went to...
Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, what is it?
It's just an island in the Caribbean.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It's like Provencalis Beach, that Grace Bay beach that we went to is like number 7 in the world.
Wow.
Amazing. The water, so clear. Like I would think that I'm in a pool. Like no seaweed, no dirt. Like you can see your feet at the bottom. It blew my mind. It was pretty amazing.
All right, everybody. This is episode number 4. Actually, 4 is this, of Dentistry Unveiled. I'm super excited. Today is an interview with a doctor that I wanted to sit down for a long time, and there's a very special reason for that. I believe we completed over 70 offices with my previous company, which is a big shout out to Siegel Construction. That just reminded me. They're one of the sponsors of the show. We completed over 70 offices, and that can give you an idea how many people we talked to. And so imagine this, 70 doctors that we've talked to, and only 10 that, in my point of view, are, actually all of them are really good and all of them are very successful, but only 10 I would put in the top 10 spot. And so I finally got a chance to talk to one of the doctors who is, in my opinion, one of the top 5 spots. And so we'll talk a little bit about success, the reasons why I think it's important, and why I praise this doctor so much. We will talk about dentistry, being a woman in dentistry and owning a practice, and a little bit about your upbringings and how did you decide to be a dentist. So I'm very excited to introduce you to Dr. Neepa, and we'll talk about your practice, your childhood, the dentistry, and we'll see if we can say at the end of the episode if the dentistry is unveiled. So let's start.
Great, thanks for having me.
Well, a little bit about, if we can touch on that, if we can talk a little bit about the upbringings, right, the childhood. Was there anything when you were a kid that medicine attracted you, or?
Well, my father was in the medical field. He was a physician, and education was always very important. Like any typical immigrant family, they come here for a better life, and they value education. So when we came here, my father was determined to make sure that the kids succeeded in whatever they do. So good grades, activities, sports, hobbies, all of it was expected. So I think that kind of put the fire underneath us a little bit to make sure that we were on top of things. It was just expected. It wasn't something that's going to be above average if that happened. So, but I think that's like that with most of the families. So as I got a little bit older, I was surrounded, my father being a physician, I had a lot of family friends who were physicians. I wasn't sold on that profession, and as I was growing up, I loved my orthodontist. I just thought he was an incredibly cool guy, charismatic, just really loved what he did, and so that kind of started the idea. And then I had a lot of older family friends who had already gone to dental school and were starting to practice. So I started talking to them, I started shadowing some offices, and before I know it, I decided dentistry was for me.
Wow, it's always interesting how there's like one person in life, right? Your orthodontist, or like some mentor in life that you can sit down or you can get inspired by, and then the next thing you know, you want to follow the same footsteps, right?
Right.
Was there anything that guy, the orthodontist, talked to you about or like explained to you what the dentistry is?
No, he probably has no idea that he
had
that influence. Maybe. He has no idea. I think it was just that overall presence and aura I got every time I stepped into that office, and the vibe I get from him. Just a very cool, confident. He always had the craziest socks, I remember, as a child. It was interesting. Yeah.
And then you decide to go into the dental school, right? How was the dental school? And while being at a dental school, did you ever have thoughts that you're going to have your own practice, or were you just studying really hard and that was it?
Well, my dental experience was probably a little unusual. They're very good. Once you're in, they really want to make sure that you succeed. I think the norm, the expected, the unspoken story was graduate dental school, work for a while, get your own business, get your own practice, the end. And I think that's what the norm was a generation ago. But as we see now, a lot of it is more corporate dentistry, a lot of group practices, and that's just can't be the reality anymore. So yes, when I was in dental school, trying to do well in my classes, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I thought that that was my goal, just to have it open an office one day, just me, practice, that's it. Never really thought about it and more than that.
And you know, a lot of people put so much blame on dental schools for not having business classes or any business courses, but at the same time, their job is to get you through the boards, right? So now looking back, would you say that that was something that the schools can change, or it's good that they just focus on the boards and then whoever need to, they will figure out the business side?
I think a couple of classes wouldn't hurt. I mean, there are people who are so science-oriented and just all in the healthcare, and I think that reality is you are going to need some business skills to survive in what our environment after dental school. But to focus so much on that, a lot of it I think comes from the person within. If you're motivated to do that business side, I feel like it's there. It's always been there. It's not going to be cultivated through a class or two in dental school. So I think a good combination of the two
would have been nice, right?
would be great. Yeah.
While being in a dental school, did you have thoughts of becoming the specialist, or just general dentistry was?
No, general was it for me. Well, my dental school, like I said, was a little bit unexpected. My father had been diagnosed with cancer and passed away during the dental school time. And so it was very tough. My weekends were going home all the time, trying to figure that out, staying in school, trying to pass my classes. So when I was done with that era, I just wanted to be done with school. I just wanted to be done with all of that. So I didn't want anything to do with school anymore. So maybe if things were different, I might have considered a specialty, but just the way my cards were, it just didn't happen at that time.
Did you take any time off? And sorry about the loss. When that all happened, you finished the dental school. Did you take any time off? Did you start traveling? How did you take, or like any life-altering decisions that you have to make, or you had to make?
Well, after I graduated, we graduated in the beginning of summer, and all my friends were busy looking for jobs and everything, and I decided I want to take 3 months off. I'm not going to do anything. I graduated and there's no hurry to get a job.
Wow.
So I went back to my mom's place and I just did whatever I wanted to do for a good solid 3 months. And she was very encouraging about that, because she's like, she said the same thing. Once you start a job, you'll always have a job. This is what you want to do. And we've all been through a lot at that time. So if this is what you want to do, this is great. So I did what I had to do. And then, I was kind of looking for jobs slowly. I was actually looking out on the East Coast. None of the jobs were really panning out, nothing worth moving for. And then I found my first job in Chicago, and then I've been here ever since.
Wow. And you're originally from Michigan, right?
I'm from Michigan.
Okay. What did you learn from those 3 months?
I think I just needed a break. I don't think it had to be learning anything. I think it was just kind of getting myself to a part where I'm like, okay, dentistry isn't just dental school. Now I have to put all that application into real life. And I just had to feel ready. And it took me some time just to kind of put everything together and feel ready.
Just a quick side note, or this side question. You're a big traveler, right? Did it come from that experience?
Yes. Well, we briefly talked about this, but my father passed away again in dental school, and then after things were getting back to normal, we suddenly lost my cousin, and my cousin is my age. We're very close, like brother, sister. So that, with that combined with the other one, kind of really took me for a loop. It really derailed my normal transition, I think you would say. And so what I got out of it suddenly was, do I need to be going out 7 days a week? Is my focus going to be some office where you just make money? And how I handled it is by realizing that life is short. I just really had this mentality that I could die tomorrow, and I want to live the life I want to live, if in case. Because my cousin, he was my age, so there was no excuse. So I just started traveling. I started traveling like a fiend, went all over wherever I wanted to do. I wanted to try a hobby. I wanted to explore opera. I wanted to explore dance. I did it. It was a very interesting time. I really got to cultivate so much of my life besides work. And I loved it. It really made me realize who I am, who I'm not. It brought me a little bit closer to maybe where I am now and being ready for the dental office. But it's just something I think I needed, and I don't regret it whatsoever.
You know, it's something very unique about you. I remember when I first met you, we were planning the office, we were going through the planning stage, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to Russia. Remember?
That's right.
And then you say, I'm actually going to go, and I ask you why. You're like, I want to see the opera. So I feel like you wanted to see if it's opera, it's got to be like in so unique places where it's the real, right? And so that was very interesting to me. I was like, wow, usually the dentists that we work with, they want to be involved in every single step of the process and everything that needs to be planned out. But then you're like, I'm out. And then the second surprising thing to me was during the project, right, you went Spain, right? And then you post a picture on Facebook with a balcony view and the ocean. And I was so proud. I literally took that picture and I showed it to everybody. I was running around and I saying, look, if you want to do the dentistry right, or if you want to have the office and you want to do it right, this is how you do it. You get the people on board and then you go, right? And this is what you did. And still, till this day, to me, it was like such an amazing moment to see that you can detach yourself, delegate, and move forward. And so I was really curious where that came from, you know, because, you know, a lot of doctors type A, you need to be in control, but somehow you were remote from that.
Again, it was my experience in my 20s. I think I've realized what's the big picture, what really matters. And with this process, even with the office, okay, so I get beige cabinets instead of off-white cabinets. Is my life over? Is patients not going to come through the door? No. You know, you just got to let go of some things that really don't make a difference. Of course, there are things you want it a particular way, but if you're going to sit there and talk about bolts and handlebars and things as a dentist that you really shouldn't care, you know, it's just not important. At the end of the day, it was just not important. And I think that's what really kept me grounded and trying to, you know, realize, all right, I am looking at this end goal. Let's not get caught up in the details.
Wow. I have a question. When you think about a person who's successful, right? It doesn't have to be some big celebrities or anybody. Who first comes to your mind?
I mean, the first person I would say it would be Obama. I think both the Obamas. I think that they have worked so hard from very little, from where they came from, and they have managed to dig the life that they would want to live, and now, you know, they're president of the United States, and I still think those values are not lost on them, and they use their success for good. So they are bringing, you know, what they think is right for the United States or for themselves or for their daughters. And that, to me, it's the trifecta of what I think success is. It's being good at your job, being good in your family, and being good to your social responsibilities in the community, to your friends and your family. And I think that, from what I see, I just think they're a great example of that.
Do you take any leadership skills from somebody and apply into your role? Meaning that what I find, what makes you very unique, in my opinion, and I give you a ton of credit for that, is that the dentists that I talk to, several of them, they're like, I'm struggling with my staff. Every time I talk to you, you're like, my staff is awesome. Like, my staff, I love them. So do you take any leadership skills from people that you look up to, or do you feel like you have it within you, or what's your secret sauce? What makes you unique?
I'm not sure, you know, because I think the stereotype is a woman boss, you know, mean, demanding, not warm, and I would hope that I'm not that. And I think my staff has stayed with me long enough to know that I'm not that. I mean, I can be when things need to be, but I've just gotten lucky. You know, I really do say it's a lot of it is luck and a lot of what you do with that luck. So I've had girls who have started with me from day one, and they are going to stay there forever, I would hope. They made the office. I really believe a practice is dependent on the staff that you have. They're the ones who are interacting with the patients the most, and making sure that everyday things get done. I hope that I reward them in ways that I think are thoughtful, you know, so anyone can give someone a bonus and say, hey, good work, here's a check. But that to me doesn't foster that group dynamic. So I remember for our first anniversary, we shut down the office early. We're like, you know what? We've been open 1 year. We'll take the afternoon off. We took all the girls and we got to the spa. We got massages, manis, pedis, things like that. And it's just that feeling of, you know what, we are more than just a paycheck. And I get my girls involved in decisions that I'm sure a lot of doctors don't do. So when I was planning the office, I had my girls look at the layout, like, this is the layout. What do you guys think as an assistant, as a receptionist? What do you like? What do you don't really like? And I got a lot of their input as well. And they appreciate it. They really feel like they're part of this process, especially my employees that I've had since day one. They feel very invested in my office.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then this very small note on that, when you closed the office earlier that day, right, in the first anniversary, and you guys all went to a spa, you went with them, right? So it's not like, I feel like several dentists miss that, or in general, people miss that, like business owners. I'm in business. I see business owners making that mistake, is we're kind of halfway there, right? We want to do good, but we're like, don't really want to do good. Meaning that you could have just buy a whole bunch of gift cards for them for a spa or make an appointment and not go with them and be like, I don't need to go, right? But you went all in. And so I just wanted to point out that specific moment, that what makes a good leader to be a leader is that you're always with your team, including you involving everybody on the decision-making process. You're getting their buy-in. And I think what's magical is going to happen during the process of increasing the space, right? That's what you're going through right now, is they will be so involved in that, meaning that they will take it as their own. Patients come in. We've done a project similar to that where a doctor and a staff, they would literally grab a patient, open up the plastic and say, let me show you what we're doing. We're going to add a treatment room so now we can see your little kids here. Or we're doing this, it just, the staff, when they're involved, it's so much different.
Yeah.
They
are excited. Every day they pass the expansion project right now, and they're like, oh my gosh, today they ripped the concrete, or yesterday they took out all the junk. So, they get really excited, and it's almost like a mother feeling. It's really excited to see that in them.
It's amazing. Probably one question that I'm really curious about on the staff is, we're friends on Facebook too, right? So I'm following what you're saying, so I'm very excited to see it. And then at some point you said, I'm so excited that my staff member, dental assistant or somebody, is now learning Chinese, because some of your population is Chinese and Hispanic, right? Yes. And I think your assistant was Hispanic, and she was learning Chinese, and you were so excited about it.
I was in my office and I overheard her saying something in Chinese, or her trying to say something in Chinese, and I just broke out in this huge smile. I just thought, to me, that mix of culture, it's just my heaven. I love that people are interacting and learning from other cultures, and that is just amazing. Right. And then I hear them sometimes, and I hear my Spanish assistants teaching the Chinese assistants, this is how you say open or close. It warms my heart.
And it's not forced, right?
No,
it's no way that you're telling them to do
this
that.
is me overhearing everything.
Right.
I'm like a proud little mama.
Right. So what do you think in your culture, in Bridgeport Smiles, right? That's your office. What's in your culture that makes that genuine willingness that people actually want to do that, not that it's forced?
Well, I believe in leading by example. So if I expect my girls to be there at 9:30 prompt, guess what? I'm there at 9:30 prompt as well. They see all the hours I'm putting in. I only see patients right now a few days, but those other days I'm in the office doing a ton of work. I'm always open for suggestions. They come to me and they say, doctor, we really need this. This isn't working. We will solve that together, because all of us want the best for the office. And it's just, I think, having a heart. Everyone has a life. Everyone is going through things. Work is not the end all. It should never be the end all. And I hope that they know that. But we do all work really hard. They also do know that this is not a place where you're going to sit here and talk about your Friday night. We're here because this stuff needs to get done. But they also see how hard I work. So then they follow.
What do you think about success when you measure success, or when you think about somebody who's successful? What's in your opinion success is?
Well, I think success is it's unique. I think that most people tend to equate success with money, equate success with power. I just don't believe that. I think success is almost a state of mind. It is, you have decided to do something. What are you going to do to get to that goal? And it could be just a mental thing. Like if someone, used to drink and they decided they're not going to drink anymore, those steps to get to that place to become sober, to me, is success. It's just a combination. And if we want to talk in the business world, yes, there's some money involved with it, but if that's what's driving you to get up in the morning, right now you are not going to be happy. I can tell you that for sure. To me, to be successful in where I am, I really do think that it is a combination of that success, making patients happy, making sure they're walking through the door, are they referring their friends and family? Is my staff happy? Do I see turnover every 6 months? Am I happy? Do I look like I'm happy to be there? Am I getting am I feeling fulfilled? Are my doctors who work for me happy to be there? And then taking all of that, do I have my friends and family who love me and I love them supporting me? And, am I becoming just too much, a better person? Am I becoming like this bear, and leaving all my family behind while this business is growing? To me, that's not success. And then again, all of that is being fostered into what you're doing for your community. We like to do community outreach with preschoolers, I just think all of that is just a whole balance of everything is just very, very important.
Okay, wow, that's powerful. If you don't mind, let me ask you a question about confidence. Sure. Because I think when I met you as a person, I think you were extremely self-confident. But when we went into the business world, right, you were planning your first office, you weren't like that, right? And so now when we talk about your expansion and other things in life, you became very confident in the business world as well. What was your process? How did you become confident? And what are some steps that you took to be more confident?
Sure. Part of it is learning. You cannot be confident in something you know absolutely nothing about. And if you are, then there's a problem. Right. You have to be willing to learn from others who have been there and done something before you. So I may have been confident when I had approached you because I was really happy with the spot. I had done my due diligence, I have done my research, I knew that this area was going to be a good area. And so when I talked to you, then it started to waver because as you realize, that's what I knew nothing about. I knew nothing about building an office. I knew absolutely nothing about molding when you were talking to me about this or that. And so you just learn as you go. And if you're not willing to learn, then, it's gonna. So this time around, as I've learned it and I've been in that experience, now I bring in my own opinions, and that confidence comes from the fact that, I've done this, I know what's going on, I know the process, and it's a lot easier to go forward from there.
Not to dwell on it, but everybody goes through some failures in life, right? What do you consider a failure is? And is there such a thing as a failure? Or how do you deal about it, or how do you work with that if it happens in your life?
Sure. I think failure has to happen to everyone. If you don't fail at something, it pretty much means you're not trying.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, but failure is learning. I really just do believe the things I've failed at, I have learned so much, and those are the lessons I will never forget. If you've gotten everything you wanted the first time around, what are you getting out of life? That you can do anything you want? Or it's that love, that appreciation for what you've got, I think comes from the fact that you've had to try so many times to get there. It's a labor of love, right?
Wow, this has been so powerful. I can't believe we even talk about so many things. Probably as a last question, we have a lot of dental students that are watching our videos and interviews. What are the 2 to 3 things that you can say to dental students if you would be talking to them face to face, without the professors and anybody else? What are the things that you think that they'll miss in life if you would not tell them?
I would say really know what you're getting into. I think that dentistry right now is in such a transition phase, and it's definitely not what it was a generation ago, and it's probably not going to be what it is a generation from now. Really know what you're getting into. Do you just want to sit and see patients? Then realize what your options are going to be. Do you just want to do the business side? Know what your options are going to be, because I think that's one of the biggest struggles with dentists or even medical doctors, that they didn't realize what they were really getting into. Because all the changes that are going on right now. So
would you say self-awareness is a big question?
it's huge. I mean, it definitely is huge. I mean, I'm not always self-aware. It's a learning process. Again, it's just I can be aware of the things that I've been through, so I can talk about those, and then I just keep plugging along and hopefully getting more and more self-aware by the day.
That's right. If anybody wants to reach out to you to ask you more questions, right? I know that some dental students asked me in the past, they emailed me and said, hey, this doctor that you interviewed, it's such an amazing person, can we reach out to them? Is there any way that somebody can contact you, or what would be the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can email me. They can email me at my office email address. It's just info at bptsmiles.com.
Okay, awesome. That's been great. Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your time. Thank you.